All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. Do you have 2 seconds to pick a title?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I wrote down a couple things. You just
Okay,
have to
good.
let me know
Yeah.
which one you like.
Okay.
The Bug Again. I'm comfortable with my journey. I hate seeing people suffer. Find their way back to that love. The why didn't I think of this before ideas. A little whiteboard on my wall, or trust your process.
Trust your process.
I kind of figured you were going to choose that one.
Yeah. It's short, it's sweet, it's snappy.
Exactly. All right. Final episode of season 6.
Ooh.
Welcome to season 6, episode 52. Trust your process. This is Written on the Edge. I'm Ben Sebastian here with my co-host, S.A. Baz Collins.
Hello.
And we're really glad you're here with us. Our guest today is Dharma Kelleher. Dharma writes gritty crime fiction about bounty hunters, bikers, and other badass women from a transgender queer perspective. She's the author of the Jinx Ballou Bounty Hunter series and the Shea Stevens Outlaw Biker series. Dharma, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. So, for folks who didn't hear your first episode, just give us a quick how you became a writer, and then we'll jump into your new project.
Well, I mean, like a lot of us, I started when I was like a teenager back in the late 70s, early 80s, because I'm old, writing stories on a manual typewriter. I'm not kidding about that. And then I kind of lost interest after, exactly, yeah. I kind of lost interest after college. My gender issues came to the fore, and I had to deal with all that and the fallout because of that. Coming out as trans in the Deep South in the 80s and 90s was not as much fun as you might think it would be.
I don't prescribe much fun to that at all, actually.
I mean, it's tough enough for some of us these days, but doing it back then, it was tough. So, but I fell back in love with it in 2007. Someone mentioned to me National Novel Writing Month, which is a personal challenge kind of thing. People participate all over the world, and the goal is to write a 50,000 word novel in the month of November. And I thought, oh, gee, it's been a long time since I've written anything. Maybe I'll try my hand at it. And I did it. And that kind of gave me the bug again for a second time. And I kept going. I signed a 2-book deal with one of Random House's ebook imprints back about 6 or 7 years ago, about 6 years ago, and they published the first 2 of my books in the Shea Stevens Outlaw Biker series. And then after that, they didn't want to continue the series, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? And that's when I decided that I was going to write my transgender bounty hunter series, my Jinx Ballou series. And I'd gotten a lot of pushback from publishers when it came to publishing my lesbian outlaw biker series. You know, at the time, Sons of Anarchy was really popular. Custom motorcycle building shows were really popular on TV, like on Discovery, and you know, it's kind of the thing. And I kept getting things like, well, we really like these books, but we don't know how to market it. And so when it came time to publishing my transgender bounty hunter series, I'm like, they won't even have a clue. Right. So I won't even bother it, you know. So right. And I loved my agent was great. She's a great person, but I decided, nope, it's time to do this on my own. So that was about 8 books ago. And the rights to the first 2 books eventually came back to me, so I republished them with better covers, better book descriptions. Nice. And that's just kind of, and you know, every once in a while I keep thinking, well, maybe I should look back at traditional publishing again. And every time I look back at it, I'm like, nope. They really don't offer enough for what I'd be giving up in terms of rights, in terms of control. Because it's just so I'm happy being an indie author, and that doing that I have to give up some things too. I mean, I'm giving up. I have to pay for my own editing team. I have to deal with my own covers and just all this stuff, and I don't get nominated for awards. I'm not allowed to submit books to certain magazines because they don't allow self-published books. But that's okay. I'm comfortable with my journey. So
nice.
And you're on a journey that many queer people find very familiar because very few of the publishers still to this day don't know how to, they pat themselves on the back and go, oh, we're wonderful. We published a gay novel or a queer novel or a trans novel, and that we got the one out and it did well. Yay, us, we're diverse,
Right.
And yet there's the rest of us going, hello, still in the room.
Right.
So speaking of your journey, you took a step off the fiction path and went for a nonfiction book.
I did.
Silly you.
Just came out December 14th, titled Breakthrough, Overcoming Creative Self-Doubt. Breakthrough! The big explosive light bulb.
That's my... No, yeah. Let's do that again because I want to use that for the cover.
All right.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
We are silly. So...
Yes.
Full title, which we still haven't gotten all the way out: Breakthrough, Overcoming Creative Self-Doubt, Writer's Block, and Imposter Syndrome.
That's right. Yeah. I was.
Where did the idea for that come from?
Well, it's funny. It's like I've been I've been writing multiple fiction books and having marginal success, and then I see all my friends, they're getting these big book deals. Some of them are getting option for TV series or movies and stuff like that. They're getting awards and all this stuff, and I'm cheering on their success. And then I see them posting, it's like, I'm just such an imposter. I feel like an imposter. I'm a fraud. It's like I'm a failure. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I. In retrospect, I get it. There's this belief that, okay, if I achieve certain markers of success, awards, best-selling author, whatever it is, I can quit my day job. That will tell us that we're a good enough author. And actually, it has the opposite effect in many cases, because now we think, we still don't have that self-esteem, but now we have these markers of success, and then we feel like a fraud, like we didn't deserve these. And I've experienced things like that in writing a little bit, and also in other pursuits. When I was a web developer, when I used to do music, and just some other things. I understand what that's like. I really do. It's frustrating, so I hate seeing people suffer. That's the bottom line. I hate seeing people suffer. And this past July, I celebrated 25 years of sobriety. I learned so many lessons in that journey, especially early on, but still, even these days, I'm still learning a lot. And I've been a lifelong sufferer of depression, anxiety, PTSD, and I've acquired some tools, some healthy coping mechanisms, whatever you want to call it, that help me work through a lot of this. And so I decided that I wanted to share these tools with my friends, with whoever was dealing with these issues of creative self-doubt, of imposter syndrome, writer's block, whatever it is. And so I just started writing and exploring. It's like, what did I do to help me work through these? And it's not a cure-all. You won't read this and suddenly, okay, no more imposter syndrome, no more self-doubts. But the focus is on self-discovery of changing your mindset and of learning to let go of things, of ideas, of self-image that doesn't serve you, and to embrace your love of writing. Because no matter how bad you've got imposter syndrome or writer's block, at one point there's a part of you that loved writing. I mean, before we knew about info dumps and show don't tell and all these different things, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I got story structure and all this stuff. We loved it. We loved making stuff up. We loved telling stories. We loved saying, what if there was this character that lived in this world and was dealing with these situations and fell in love with this other person and whatever it is. And we loved doing that, whether it was fan fiction or romance or crime fiction or whatever it is. We loved doing that. And my goal in this book is to help people find their way back to that love, to help them learn to trust their process, to discover their process, because each of us are different. Our minds work a little bit differently. So I'm offering like tools that, just a whole tool chest of tools that say, okay, here's some that work for me, and here's some that work for other people. Find out what works for you. And it's a process.
Did you write it as a conversation? Is it more of a workbook? How is it structured?
It's not a workbook. It's more of a, I'm not a book coach. I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a life coach or anything like that. I'm a writer in the trenches with all the rest of the writers. So I don't have any expertise other than saying, hey, this is what's worked for me. And it's more, it's not a workbook. There's no homework. There's no assignments. No, you have to complete. It's more of a sharing, a conversation, I guess.
Okay. Can we just dip into each of the topics a little bit? I don't want to give the book away. I want people to buy it.
Absolutely.
So give me an idea about dealing with imposter syndrome.
Okay, imposter syndrome, a lot of it, we think it has to do with a lack of success, and it's not a lack of success. Rather, it's writing and creativity in general is uncertain. It's messy. And there's no set outcome. It's not like, it's not like a math formula where it comes with a certain answer. We don't know what it's going to look like when we're done. And that uncertainty can cause us to question, is this right? Is this not right? Could it be better? And so we're like, well, how do I know if it's good or not? And then we get these reviews, especially like these 1-star reviews or a negative editorial review from like the New York Times or something like that. And it rips us to hell. And we're like, and our instinct is to believe the negative stuff and dismiss the good stuff. Mm-hmm. If someone praises it, oh, well, they're just easily impressed. But if someone digs into us and points out plot holes or, oh, this character is just so one-dimensional and all this stuff, our brains are programmed for whatever reason to believe that. And so we think, okay, I'm a fraud. I'm not as good as people think I am. And we have this attachment to these markers of success. And my goal is to take the focus away from reviews, away from all the external validations. Let go of all that, because it's not going to fix what's inside of you. And rather fall back in love with the process of writing. Learn to trust your own process of writing, because it's messy. And it's crazy and it's frustrating sometimes, but there are things that you can fall back in love with. Just playing that what if game, and even editing. People say, "Oh, editing," or especially when you get edits back from your editor, and like, "Oh God, how could I be so stupid? There's this big gaping plot hole or whatever it is." That's why we have editors, mm-hmm. so that we can make it better. The whole goal of revising is to make what we created better, and so it's learning how to let go of all of this negativity, really.
Okay.
And I mean, and it's not a quick fix. It's a process. It's like, okay, when these issues start creeping up, here are some options to work through it.
Okay. How about writer's block?
Writer's block. Writer's block is really, more than anything, it's about fear. It's about fear of screwing up the next thing, especially if we've had something successful before, especially like right out of the gate. Oh wow, we were a $1 million bestseller.
The sophomore syndrome.
The sophomore syndrome. Yeah, it's like, oh, now what am I going to do? And we got to let go of trying to meet certain expectations. The only expectation is, can you enjoy the process? Because if we learn to enjoy the process, then everything else takes care of it. That passion, that excitement, that love translates into a commitment to making things as good as we possibly can make it. Yeah. It really does. And that's not to say that we won't have flops or failures in the future. We've all made mistakes. I've got some ideas for some stories. I was like, oh, no, I'm never going to write this story because it's either going to be too hard for me and I'll get it wrong. It'd be like, if I wanted to write like a medical or a legal thriller, and like Robin Geigel, who's one of the other trans authors in crime fiction. She's an attorney and she can write a legal thriller because she's got the experience. Me, I don't think I could do it. I'm not sure if I would want to do it, but there'll be something that we want to write, but we're not sure if we got the chops to do it. And if we attempt it and someone points out that we failed, then it's going to crush us, And so we just like get, it's like we just freeze and like, what else can I write? I can't think of anything else to write. Or I don't know where to take this story, or I don't, and so we have to just kind of loosen things up, let go of fear, and again, fall back in love with our process again. Just tell a story. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be starting next month. I'm going to be working on a brand new series. Brand new series.
Breaking news!
Breaking news! It's actually up for pre-order, but and I'm still don't have some of the fundamentals about who this character is down yet. And I've even written like a couple of scenes already, and I'm like, well, but whenever I get like write myself into a corner, it's like okay, I don't know where to take the story. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll just like get in my recliner, put on some relaxing music, and kind of get into this kind of semi-lucid nap state. And just throw around ideas. It's kind of like a dream state where nothing that has to necessarily make sense. And I just like throw ideas. Oh, what if I did this? And it's a little bit like free writing, if that works for you, where you're just like writing and just keep writing and just coming up with ideas, even if you're saying, I don't know what to write. These are some of the different tools that I share in the book about just spitballing ideas, because you're going to start off, the stuff that initially comes to you is probably going to be not as feasible as the stuff that comes up later, because your brain just starts problem solving and gets into that groove. But it's going to be rough at first. We think, okay, I'm going to free write and the ideas are going to come and it's going to be perfect. And then the ideas that start coming out are like, that's stupid. That's no good. Okay, wait a minute. Why am I even doing this? We got to let it simmer for a little bit, and then the better ideas. First the bad ideas come, then the better ideas, and then they're really amazing. Oh my God, why didn't I think of that before ideas come? And we just got to give ourselves time to let the process work.
All right. Anything else you want folks to know about it?
The people that have read it have really, really enjoyed it, because I lay it out. I'm totally honest, totally vulnerable. Just tell it like it is. Because, like I said, I still deal with issues of anxiety and depression, usually not related to my writing now, more to deal with life stuff. But when it comes to writing, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of stuck here, but I'll figure it out.
Nice. All right. Baz, want to trot out the new questions?
Yeah, we have new questions. Also, we want to let people know to make sure to visit to support the show because we put the show out to expose you to new, well, not expose, but present. This is why Vance does these things, okay? Now,
It's gonna go viral.
I don't know why he pitched it over to me.
Well, okay then, folks, we at Written on the Edge are proud to introduce you to new media by queer content creators. If you enjoy learning about these artists, please like and subscribe and get alerts for new episodes. If you want to support the show, hit us at either Patreon to support us directly or Redbubble and buy some merchandise. We're a cool author, we're a drag queen, we're a saying. They're all there for you. Take it away, Bass.
Yeah, what he said.
And is it? Are you talking about the new series yet, or is it still?
I'm briefly talking about it. What I'm currently working on is I'm editing book 4 in the Shea Stevens Outlaw Biker series, Road Rash.
Good name. Good name.
I used to be a biker, and I kind of miss it, but Road Rash is just like, that's the stuff that gives people bikers nightmares, and so it really in this book is kind of a metaphor of feeling emotionally raw and exposed and vulnerable, and so and that's the one I'm currently editing. At the first of the year, I'm going to be starting a brand new series. It's called the Avery Byrne series. She's a tattoo artist who is into the rockabilly, gothabilly, psychobilly scene, and basically she comes across this big bag of money that was stolen from a local gangster, and she's not sure what to do about it, and she suddenly finds herself on the run. And she's a trans woman, because I got to represent.
Oh yeah,
right. No, absolutely.
And so the name of the first book in the series is A Conspiracy of Ravens.
Ooh.
I had fun coming. I came up with a whole bunch of names of titles for the series, and they all have to do with group names for different types of birds that are indigenous here in Arizona. So we've got A Conspiracy of Ravens. We've got the more obvious A Murder of Crows. But there's going to be like a Parliament of Cardinals, just all kinds of different things. I'm going to play around with some ideas. So I have no idea where this series is going to go, but I'm having fun brainstorming. So
that's awesome. All right.
Excellent.
Any online appearances or book talks or?
Not specifically. I think I've heard rumblings that Brad Shreve is going to be starting up his podcast again.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's wanting to have me back on there. I'm not sure exactly when. So I'm really excited about that for him. I know, I've toyed around with doing podcasts of my own, and it is a real commitment. So my hats are off to you guys. And I still debate about it. I'm thinking about doing something like that for kind of a spin-off of Breakthrough for helping people learn. I don't know. It's just such a time commitment. So
it is.
We'll have to see how it goes.
All right. Are you hitting any other shows on the chart for Breakthrough?
Not currently. One of the things I've had to do recently, as an indie author, there's this temptation. It's like, okay, the book is edited, the cover's done, the description's done, launch it. And I've realized over the past few books is like, no, I need some padding between the book is done, ready to launch, and the time it actually launches, like 3 or 4 months, in order to schedule appearances and schedule all the whole promotional thing. And so I'm kind of in the process of working on that now. So building that into my process, because I've got a little whiteboard on my wall over here, and it's got 3 books and all the dates deadlines I had to hit, when I have to get it to the editor, contacting all the different booksellers about new releases and all that stuff, and it's quite a schedule. So.
Oh, I believe it. Well, what socials are the best for people to follow you to keep up with the changes?
Probably Facebook. I'm on Twitter occasionally, but not very often. It tends to get really negative, so I'm like, yeah, don't need that. But I'm on there every once in a while, especially if someone mentions me, or I'm like, oh, thank you for the mention and stuff like that. So I do interact on Twitter, but Facebook mostly, my personal page, and as well as I've got an author page as well. So.
And that's facebook.com/Dharma Kelleher books.
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Any final words of wisdom?
Trust your process. Fall back in love with writing. It's, be nice to yourself. If there's one thing that we've needed to do in these past few years, is learn to be kind to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Amen. All
right, folks. Written on the Edge is produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our disclaimers, links to social media, our listen stations, or to sign up as a guest, visit www.rotepodcast.com. If you enjoy learning about new artists, please like and subscribe so you get alerts for new episodes. We'd like to extend a huge thank you to Dharma Kelleher for being with us. Dharma, thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Our pleasure. Now, head to Redbubble, get a t-shirt, head to Patreon, support us directly, but then go buy Breakthrough, Overcoming Creative Self-Doubt, Writer's Block, and Imposter Syndrome, and fall back in love with your process. Have a happy new year, everyone. From us at Rote Podcast to you in your home. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We love you, and we'll talk to you all again soon. Bye-bye.
Oh, what's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.